Welcome, everyone. My name is Elian Ramos. I'm ER Geek Goddess. And tonight we're going to continue our Hangout series called the ACA and You. The topic tonight is Latino youth. As you know, when it comes to Latinos, especially the youth, 20% of low-income Latino youth have gone. So when you see a population that has such a high occurrence for certain diseases, such a high propensity, we all know that it's very important for our youth to get coverage. And to talk about this topic, I'm going to introduce my guests tonight, who are a group of ladies, young ladies, who have been working on this issue and helping young Latinos get enrolled on the Affordable Care Act. And I'm going to start from the right. First is Yandari Zavala, who is the Communications Project Manager at Voto Latino. Welcome, Yandari.
Hi, thanks for having me, Elian.
Next is Sara Audelo, who is the Policy Director for Generation Progress. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
And next is Cristina Rivera, who is the State Outreach Coordinator for Young Invincibles. How are you, Cristina?
Good. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
And so you've been working with this population, the millennials, as we call them, right, for a long time. And we know there are some nuances between the way that Latino millennials are compared to the rest of the population. So why is it so important for Latino millennials to get enrolled and get healthcare coverage? Who wants to go first?
I can go ahead. So as young people, we have a lot of things that we care about. Like maybe it's a car, maybe it's our cell phone. So see, I have my iPhone. It's very important to me. My life depends on this most of the time. And for my car, I definitely have car insurance. I take it to get its oil changed. I vacuum the inside and clean it out. I try to take care of it. And if I do that for my car, or maybe buy an Apple Care plan for my phone, like why wouldn't we do that for our bodies? In the Latino community, we suffer at higher rates than the general population from diseases that are easy to prevent, things like diabetes and heart disease and even blood pressure or high cholesterol. I know all of those things actually run in my family, and those are things that we can prevent if we start now taking care of our health, making sure that we have our annual physicals, making sure that that things are in order, and that's why it's so important for us young people to have health coverage.
Any of you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I'll go. I mean, I think the other thing, when we talk about Latinos, the average age of a Latino is 27. So when we're talking about Latinos having access to healthcare, we're talking about young Latinos. So when young Latinos get healthcare, then it's not only helping ourselves, but helping our community, because as a community, we are so incredibly young, which is great because there's so many benefits in the Affordable Care Act that helps Latinos, and in particular, young Latinos.
Mm-hmm. And so we've been hearing about this, nonstop. And Christina, I forgot to ask you if you wanted to add something to that. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I mean, ditto with everything they both said. And also, I mean, just as a young adult in general, we're all one accident, one illness away from having something catastrophic to happen, and a catastrophic finances also. Put on us because of medical debt. So it's really important that we have that peace of mind and that coverage so we can maintain our health and make sure that we can stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Very important, right? And we keep hearing about all of the ways that, and the reasons why Latinos should enroll, especially young Latinos, but how precisely does the Affordable Care Act help young Latinos? What are the different ways?
So go ahead, Christina.
Well, with the Affordable Care Act, it includes a lot of preventive services such as free contraception, free flu shots, free HIV and STI screenings. And then when we look at maternity care, we also note that Latinas tend to get pregnant at a higher rate than non-Latino white women. And so it's really important that we have that coverage in order to, again, maintain our health.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Anybody else?
And if you look at where health disparities exist in Latinos, and especially young Latinos, like Christina was saying, there are specific benefits that are in the Affordable Care Act that will help young Latinos. So for example, we know that HIV rates are increasing in young Latino males. There's access to HIV testing when you get health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. We also know that young Latinas, like Christina was saying, do have higher rates of pregnancy and higher rates of unintended pregnancy. So if we're not ready to get pregnant, we do have access to no copay birth control. And then if we are pregnant and ready to carry to term, then there are great benefits in there, such as maternity coverage, such as support for breastfeeding. There's also access to STD testing and treatment, which is incredibly important because these are all areas, especially for young Latinos, where we do have higher rates of unintended pregnancies or STDs. So these are all things that are really important. We also have higher rates of depression, and so there's some better mental health services in there as well.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I just want to add, this one's personal for me. When the law passed, this was 4 years ago. Okay, I'm going to give away how old I'm going to be this year, guys. But that was the year that
Younger than me.
That was the year that I turned 26. And so because it passed in the spring, I was able to stay on my dad's health insurance for I think it was 8 more months. I had it until the end of the year, and so when I was home, I got all of my checkups done, went to the dentist. Young people can stay on their parents' plan up until age 26, which is such a blessing. As you graduate from college, or maybe you're in transition between jobs, you have the option to still have health coverage, even if you aren't able to provide that for yourself when you're at that young age. And so I know that's something that impacted me, and I know that millions of young Latinos have already been impacted by that particular portion of the law. So that's just one way that the Affordable Care Act truly impacts young people and young Latinos.
That's awesome. So you just mentioned one of the options, right? So if you're under 26, you can stay on your parents' insurance. But what are the other options? What is the whole set of options for young people?
So I'll keep going.
Go ahead.
So that provision of staying on your parents' health insurance until you're 26 is great, but it doesn't help you if your parents don't have health insurance themselves. Mm-hmm. And through the health insurance marketplace, which can be accessed at healthcare.gov, anybody is able to apply for a health plan during the open enrollment period. There's an option that's specific for young people. Often, we think we're, young invincibles, as Christina's organization is called. We're young, we're healthy, we wonder why do I need this? I'm doing just great. But as she mentioned, you never know when you're going to walk out and you're going to be in an accident or someone's going to run over you. There's something called a catastrophic plan that's specific for young people. If you're under 30 years of age, it's a plan that's available that makes sure that you have your annual physical, your birth control benefits, as was mentioned, and prescription coverage, those good things, and access to 3 doctor's visits a year. But what it covers is catastrophic events. If you get in an accident, if something unexpected comes up, you have coverage. It's a cheaper way to make sure that you have coverage if something unexpected were to happen.
Very important to know, especially, with all the crazy things that young people are, tend to do. Crazy but fun things, that sometimes can be a little dangerous. I know I have a 19-year-old and I'm always like, stop it. But, okay, so let's go in pieces, right? Let's talk about the option of staying under your parents' plan. How does that work? What can people do to get under that? Who wants to go?
Well, basically, you want to check with your parents to see if their parents' plan does offer your parents' plan does offer dependent coverage, meaning that they can put a dependent, a child, or the spouse onto their insurance plan. What's great about the employer plans now is they have to abide by the requirements of the ACA, so you'll get all those wonderful benefits that we've been talking about. So that's your option, is just simply having your parents check with their employer to see if they can add. Their employer may have an open enrollment cycle, though, that you have to be wary of. But But again, just go and ask mom or dad or your caretaker to see if they can add you on.
Mm-hmm. And okay, so I'm gonna make a little parenthesis here to remind people that who are viewing the show tonight that you can submit your questions, and as time permits, we're going to try to answer them here. We only have half an hour, so we're gonna do our best to answer all of them. But please send them in if you have them. So let's continue in terms of the different coverage options. Let's say that somebody is under 26 and they used to be on their parents' plan, but they recently lost or are about to lose their coverage. It may be that they're about to graduate from college, or they're aged out of the bracket. What are the coverage options then for somebody like that?
So I think there's a few things that we should highlight that you're talking about. One, of course, like when you turn 26. Yeah, then you've been on your parents' plan, you're going to have to get your own health insurance, which, just like Yandere mentioned, is going to healthcare.gov to find the plan that best works for you. The other thing to be cautious of for young people is a lot of young people get their health insurance when they're in school, and they'll enroll in like a college-based student health plan, which is totally great, but of course then you graduate and then you're kicked off. So a great thing to do is, if you're under 26, check out, just like Christina mentioned, to see if you can get on your parents' plan. And if not, it's about going to healthcare.gov to figure out what health insurance you can get if you're going to be left without when you graduate from school and get kicked off your school plan.
I'd like to add something to that. At this point, if someone is graduating, we're seeing a lot of young adults who just graduated and may have lost their student health plan, or those who are turning 26, you may be losing your parents' dependent coverage. At this point, you're eligible for a special enrollment period. That's basically a new opportunity that people have who turn 26, who have lost their student health plan due to graduation or due to the end of a term job that they had at school. You have 60 days after you lose coverage in order to go on to healthcare.gov to check out your new options. So you don't have to wait for the next open enrollment cycle.
That's a great relief for somebody, because the last thing that you want is to not have coverage over the summertime. When you're going to be out there, skiing or going to the beach. You want to make sure that you have at least a catastrophic plan to cover you over the summer. So what about young Latinos who cannot afford health insurance? Because that's another very real aspect of the situation for our community. Is it compulsory for them to get health insurance, and what happens if they don't get it?
So I'll take a stab at that one. It is mandatory that everyone have health insurance. But I would say if you feel that you can't afford it, still go online. Go on the website if you qualify for a special enrollment period, as Cristina mentioned, or when the next open enrollment period comes along, go online, because a lot of people are going to qualify for financial assistance to make their health plan a little bit cheaper. And if your income is at a low enough level, you might even qualify for Medicaid, and that would save even a lot more money, but you're not going to know until you hop on the website to find out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is so important, because a lot of young people, like you're exactly right, think that they can't afford health insurance. And we've just talked to so many young people that once they go online and fill out the forms, they're like, oh wait, I can. Like, this is much cheaper than I thought it would be. A lot of people are saying it's cheaper than a cell phone bill. So just like Yandere was saying, unless you go online, you won't know. So go online and check it out, because it's pretty likely you'll be able to afford coverage, and especially if you're living in a state that has expanded Medicaid.
Yeah, very interesting. And go ahead.
Just quickly, and if you go online and you still don't qualify for either of those, there's the catastrophic plan if you're under 30, or there is also the option if the cost for health insurance exceeds a certain percentage of your income, you can apply. Again, the information's on healthcare.gov. You can apply for an exemption, so you won't be penalized in your taxes for not having health insurance. Unfortunately, that also means you won't have health coverage, but that is an option that's available for those who really just can't fit it into the budget.
And so there's certain people.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. And I'm sorry, one thing to add to it, it's really important that if you are in a state that did not expand Medicaid and you could have qualified for Medicaid, then you are exempt from paying that penalty, but you have to go online and file that exemption. So it's really important that you go online and do that. Again, so Virginia, Texas, Florida, if you go online, you'll find out if whether or not your state has expanded Medicaid.
So very important, because that's also a big reality. You know, some other states like Texas and Florida, they have a large population of Latinos and they didn't expand the Medicaid. So so they are not supposed to pay the penalty then in that case.
No, but they need to make sure that they get that exemption filed.
And then I think after they file that exemption, you know, it's really great to check out websites like Young Invincibles and others who are actually trying to do work with young people to make sure that they are letting their representatives know that expanding Medicaid is a big deal. It's great to not pay the penalty if you would have qualified, but at the end of the day, like, we want access to health care. Young people want access to health care, and if Medicaid is the way to do it, we need to hold our elected officials accountable to make sure they are giving us access to health care.
Very, very good information. I didn't know that, actually, and I know many young adults who are in that situation. So thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna run through you another question that I was wondering. What happens if a young adult who is under 26 is not eligible for employer-sponsored insurance, but then both of their parents have separate plans that offer coverage? What can a person do in that situation?
Right, I'll go ahead and take that one. So young adults and their families should decide which employee-sponsored insurance plan makes the most sense for them and their family. So whether it's based on affordability or whether it's based on a plan that offers more, then you and your family can make that decision together. So your option would be to either take either mom's plan or dad's plan, or either parent's plan to go for that. And if that's not an option, if parent's plan is not an option, then you could try to see if you are eligible for tax credits on the marketplace through healthcare.gov if you're not a dependent of your parents.
And okay, so let's talk about another scenario. I heard that people can opt out of employer-based insurance programs if they're too expensive, if they cannot afford them. But how does that work for graduate students in particular who are required to get insurance either through the school or on the market? You know, what are the options for these people if it's too expensive or if the school doesn't offer coverage? Who wants to go for that one?
I can take that if you all are.
Go ahead, Christina.
If you're Yandara, you mentioned this earlier. If your employee's health plan is 9.5% or greater than your annual salary, then you're eligible to shop for insurance on the marketplace. Okay, and then that'll make you also eligible for those tax credits on the marketplace as well. And the same goes if your student health plan is too expensive, you feel like you can't afford it, make sure you go onto healthcare.gov to see what your options are, if you qualify for financial assistance, and even better, if you qualify for Medicaid.
There's also, you know, a whole lot of different things, resources on the Young Invincibles website, and I'm going to share one of the graphics that explains everything that you need to know about what happens when you graduate. It's very important because it explains everything that we're talking about here. It explains, you know, how the parents' plan works, how it works if you're married, how it works if you want, you know, to get free coverage. What all the different options that you have to get coverage are listed there. This is just one of the infographics that are in their website. They have 1,000 different things, and exaggerating a little bit, but it's a lot of different resources that they offer at the younginvincibles.org website. And you know, I'm sure that Christina is gonna expound on that, on what they do in a little bit, but you know, I think that everybody should go and check out their website. There's a lot of information there that is helpful. So let's talk about another subject. You mentioned a while ago, one of you mentioned the special enrollment period. What does that mean for young adults? Can you explain how that works, really?
Sure, I can give a little on that one. So March 31st marked the end of the first open enrollment period. An open enrollment period is basically like a period for signups. Like if you're signing up for Little League baseball, for example, there's like a time period that you sign up, and then you know, in the summertime the games start and you can't sign up anymore because it's already started. So open enrollment already ended for this last go around, and there will be another open enrollment period for people to sign up for healthcare coming this autumn. But in the meantime, there are ways that you can qualify for a special open enrollment period. Things like if you lost your job and lose your health coverage, or maybe you got a new job and it doesn't offer health care, so you need a health plan. If you got married, if you graduated from college and you lost your student health plan, if you turn 26 and you get off your parents' plan, if you get pregnant and you didn't have a health plan before, or even if you move to a new address, out of state, for instance, and you lose your health coverage for that reason. Basically, if you're going through any life change, which as young adults we move all the time, we change jobs, we come home from college for the summer. If you're going through any sort of big life change, odds are you qualify for a special enrollment period. So if you think that you might, go ahead on healthcare.gov and see if your situation qualifies you for that special enrollment period.
Nice. Anybody else wants to?
Yeah, and the only other thing I would add is not only if you have a child, but if you adopt a child, you could also qualify for the special enrollment plan, and also if you become a U.S. citizen. So those are two additional moments where you're able to still enroll in healthcare. And just like Yandere was saying, like these are what happened to young people, right? This is our generation. All these things, we do this more. We're moving more. We're graduating from school. This is when we're having kids. Some of us more than others. But these are all times that we can still access healthcare and should take advantage of them.
Perfect. I think that there's a lot of confusion about that because we you know, there was a lot of advertising and a lot of effort that came into getting people to sign up during the actual enrollment period. But now it's like, now what do we do? You know, if I didn't make it, we tend to postpone things until the last minute, you know, and all of these things. So it's very helpful to know how it works in the special enrollment period. And Yandere, thank you, because I think that's the best explanation of the open enrollment, the whole Little League thing. That's a great way to explain it. So thank you for that. So no, I want to make sure. I think we're running a little bit out of time, and I want to make sure that we don't leave before you tell me a little bit about the efforts that your organizations are doing. Young Invincibles is an amazing organization. So is Generation Progress, and so is Voto Latino. I want to know what kind of different efforts are you doing to help young people enroll and get coverage? Who wants to go first?
I can start. Voto Latino, our target audience is young Latinos 18 to 34, and we do most of our work online. So we have a series of Google Hangouts, kind of like this one, where we bring a panel just like this one, and we take questions from the Voto Latino audience. People can send us questions by text message or on Twitter or a Facebook comment, and we answer your questions about healthcare. You can find those even if you weren't able to watch them live. You can visit our YouTube channel. Just go on YouTube and search for Voto Latino, and you'll find like the whole playlist of our Google Hangouts. There's a lot of really good stuff, really good information, more in detail about women's health and how the ACA affects women, about immigrant families. I know in the Latino community that was a big concern. Families where not everybody has the same immigration status. We did a whole 1-hour hangout just answering questions about that. So we find the topics that our audience wants to hear about, and we we give them answers on Hangouts. We also do a series of graphics. I mean, the Affordable Care Act, if we were to look up the law, it's like over 900 pages. I know, well, I'm certainly not going to read all 900 pages, right?
Yeah.
And I know most of us aren't either. And so we will take like a snippet of fact, like, did you know you can stay on your parents' plan until you're 26? And we'll push out graphics. So on Facebook, you'll find that album as well. On Voto Latino's page, just search Voto Latino on Facebook, and you'll find our series of graphics. Those are just a couple of the things that we're doing.
I urge you to watch Jandari in action when she has her hangouts. They're very informative and very fun to watch. So I urge everyone to do that. We're getting some comments. Somebody's asking for the document that was shared a few minutes ago. Laura Baena. Hi, Laura. I'm going to be posting a lot of the resources that we're mentioning here on my blog, and so you can find them there, or you can go to Young Invincibles, to Generation Progress, to Voto Latino, and find a lot of these resources also in their websites. I'm going to continue down the line here. Sarah, do you want to talk a little bit about Generation Progress and what you do?
Sure. Very similar to Voto Latino, most of our healthcare work is done online, and so we have a whole campaign called Enrollment Moments, where we are sharing with young people the different opportunities that they have, like we just listed, to enroll in healthcare before the new enrollment period starts. So encourage folks to check out Enrollment Moments. We're also profiling young people who are sharing their stories of sometimes accessing healthcare for the first time as they enroll in health insurance options. The other thing I should mention, and our website is genprogress.org. The other thing I should mention is that for folks who are in DC or interested in coming to DC, we're going to have our Make Progress National Summit on July 16th, and we will have a breakout panel discussing healthcare, featuring some great partners in the work that they've been doing enrolling people, and also talking about looking forward for what's coming next. So go to genprogress.org to check that out. We have travel scholarships that are going to be open until like tomorrow before we start to select people. So would love to see folks here talking about healthcare, as well as many other issues that impact young Latinos' lives.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we're going to have their websites listed on my blog too. And Christina?
Great, thank you. Yeah, so Young Invincibles runs our Healthy Young America campaign. And so you saw a graphic earlier. Our policy team breaks down a lot of that wonky language that's put into that over 900-page law that we were talking about earlier, and breaks it down into those little short infographics that are consumer friendly and accessible for people to read. We have a whole bunch of those special enrollment ones available at younginvincibles.org/special-enrollment. We also do on-the-ground work, and so we train people and people who work with young adults on what the Affordable Care Act is and best practices on how to do outreach to explain the Affordable Care Act and to encourage young adults to sign up. We also have several navigators in New York and in-person assisters in Virginia and in right here in DC. So if you live in any of those states, hit me up, and you need insurance, we can get you insured. As well as we also do enrollment events on the ground to make sure that we educate the general public on the ground about the Affordable Care Act in a consumer-friendly way and connect them to in-person assisters or navigators.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give a quick shout out here to George Torres, who is a good friend, and he's watching. Hello, George. He does an amazing job in terms of educating the community about diabetes and a lot of different other things. So thank you for watching, George. I'm going to give you the last question because I know some of you have things to do after this. So what is, just to conclude the chat, what is your call to action for Latino youth? What do you want to leave them with?
I'll start off. I think as Latinos, we're natural storytellers. We love to tell stories, and I think if you've taken anything away today, is go and tell your family and friends about the new options made available. Tell them that you could qualify for financial assistance, and that there's free assistance that'll help you get covered. And that's one thing that we saw Latinos wanted the most, is an actual in-person assister that could help them sign up for health insurance. And so you can find those at localhelp.healthcare.gov. And so tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your tia Lucy, tell your second cousin, tell everyone about your options.
Awesome. And Jandari, since you have to rush out.
Guys, I'm going to a Lindsay Sterling concert after. She's great.
I'm jealous.
I would say this process can be a little daunting. In the Latino community, a lot of us were uninsured before this law, and so for a lot of us, this is the first time we've had to know how health insurance works, what's a deductible, what's a copay, like how do we do this, and it can be a little bit daunting. But I just want to remind the young people watching that you're not alone. We're here, our organizations are here to help you and to provide resources for you. And my call to action is to invite you to sign up for our alerts. We'll do text message because that's easy. So if you text Ask VL, that's A as in apple, S as in Sam, K as in kangaroo, V as in violin, L as in Larry, to 73179, you'll be signing up to receive Voto Latino's health alerts, and we will help you and answer your questions. And feel free to text us if something comes up, and we'll get back to you with an answer.
Mm-hmm. Can you repeat the number that they have to text to, please?
Yeah, Ask VL, ask as in question, VL as in Voto Latino. So Ask VL to 73179.
Perfect. Perfect. And so, Jandari, if you have to go, I understand. I wouldn't miss the concert for the world either. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to, I am so grateful that because I know that you do this as well. And thank you for sharing all of this great information with young people.
Thanks so much for having me.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
And so, Sarah. Do you want to share? Is it Sarah? Yeah, it's you, right? You're the one that hasn't said the call to action. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say, one, to please check out genprogress.org to learn more about our enrollments campaign as well as the other campaigns that we have here. But also, I would say, a lot of times in the Latino community, we're often giving to others and taking care of our brothers and sisters or tios and tias or community members, which is amazing. But we should be taking care of ourselves too, and healthcare is one of those ways that we can take care of ourselves, because only once we start accessing healthcare services can we start to close these great health disparities that exist in our communities. So we deserve it. You deserve it. Check out healthcare.gov because we need health insurance. We don't want these horrible issues to blindside us and to hurt us a long time down the road, because they can cost so much without health insurance. So check out healthcare.gov, get enrolled, tell all your friends.
And especially now in the summer, you don't want to be, without at least the most basic health insurance, because so many things can happen. You want to have fun without having to worry about it, right?
Exactly.
So that concludes our show. I want to thank you very much for being here tonight. You guys have been amazing. I know because I know some of you personally, of all the amazing work that you're doing out there with the young Latino community. So I appreciate you taking this time, when you could be out there having fun too. I want to urge everyone who's watching to please visit their websites, Voto Latino for Jandari, who just left. And then for Sarah, go to Generation Progress, which is genprogress.org. And then for Christina, younginvisibles.org. I urge you, there's so much information, such amazing information in their websites. So please visit them. And ladies, thank you so much for being here tonight. We're going to have all of this information as well as the actual video and the link to the different resources that these ladies mentioned on my blog. You can look for ergeekgoddess.com, and you'll find everything there in the recap that I will post tomorrow. And in the meantime, you're going to be able to also watch this video if you missed any part of it on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/user/Elian Ramos. So thank you so much for watching, and good night, and I see you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Adios.
Adios.